Hey y'all, Eli here with Alchemy Custom Weaponry, and today's a great day because today we are releasing another freaking RestoMod.
It is my favorite day. It is RestoMod day. This is very exciting.
It's my second favorite day.
What's your first favorite day?
July 4th. Because I'm a patriot. Anyways, so yes, it is RestoMod day here at Alchemy Custom Weaponry. We love it. Y'all love it. And y'all get upset though when you don't actually get them. So let's do this. If you even were remotely interested off the thumbnail or the email, don't watch this video. It is not a good idea.
Go to the website.
Know how long the video is going to be.
Buy it.
Go to the website, then come back and watch the video.
Yep.
So with that out of the way, we've got to talk about today's RestoMod, or this quarter's RestoMod, and that would be the MEUSOC. Now, we've done the MEUSOC before, and I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, I thought you said you weren't going to do the exact same thing. Well, we didn't do the exact same pistol. Yes, it is a MEUSOC, but it is a little different, okay? And so I'm going to have my resident millennial here, this guy.
Well, yeah.
Because for some reason, millennials, this is like the millennial gun.
Well, this gun just speaks to us, and I don't know what it is about you Gen Zers, but this to millennials, this is like crack or catnip to millennial gun enthusiasts.
I truly, it's like, it is the 1911 version of the Gordon carbine.
Well, yeah, I mean the Gordon carbine, that is
which
is
a
beautiful
cool
gun. You know, I got one right back there. You probably can't see it, but anyway, it's a cool gun. But this, I think the reason that people get so excited about the MEUSOC in the millennial generation is that, first off, they were made in the 80s, which is when most of us millennials were born, and it is the representation of how the U.S. military, the Marines, started to adopt more modern pistol shooting techniques, and hand fitting and taking the 1911 to its next level. So, formerly called the M45, the MEUSOC pistol really represents the last hurrah of the 1911. Yes, the M45A1 was done, and there's Delta 1911s, but the last big hurrah that we consider the 1911 to be used in the United States military. So there's a lot of excitement about that. A lot of excitement about that.
Well, and it's interesting though, like how far behind the United States military was in accurizing and updating the 1911. The commercial market had been doing that actually prior to the Second World War, as things do. But the military eventually caught up, and this, eventually. And this is, of course, the product of that. So we have the old MEUSOC here.
Yes.
This was from last year, I believe, quarter 1. Correct?
It was quarter one. Yeah. And before we get into this too, I want to give a special shout out to Casey Crawford at Casey Custom Creations. And he was actually 22 years in the Marines and was with RTE, who made the MEUSOC. So he is where a lot of the information and accurate information comes from about the MEUSOC pistol. So right here, I'm going to bring up the V1 real quick because this is actually my personal. I loved this pistol so much that I actually bought one myself from last year's RestoMod series. So this is the version 1 of the MEUSOC, which it was adopted. You can go and watch that video. We'll put a link here for the last year's release video if you want the whole history on the MEUSOC and the version 1. So the cool thing about the MEUSOC and the version 1 of the MEUSOC was it was released because the entire military was switching over to the M9, and the Marines, the Marine Expeditionary Unit Special Operations Capable, MEUSOC, did not want to use the M9. They did not want to use 9mm. They loved their 45 ACPs.
My kind of people.
Yeah, they loved their 2 world-winning 1911s. So they took the 1911s and actually original 1911A1 frames, because we made so damn many 1911A1s.
2.5 million.
2.5 million of them. And so they took them and rebuilt them into highly accurized pistols for the Marine Expeditionary Unit. And so MEUSOC, the MEUSOC pistol, or the M45, was born in the 80s. Now, as it went on, they found that they loved these pistols so much that they wanted to keep using them. And as they came back from deployments, they had to rebuild them every time, because their pre-deployment workup, guys, was 5,000 rounds. Now, that's not a lot in the term of a 1911, but the ammunition they were using back then was very, very hot, very, very spicy, because the 45 ACP that they were able to source was not your average 45 ACP.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it was really spicy stuff. So it was, the ammunition was hard on the guns. They were Marines, so they are very hard on guns.
They themselves
are very hard on guns. Like, they will figure out a way to break it if they can. So after they're coming back from their deployments and rotations, they had to rebuild the guns, sometimes from the ground up. So the version 1 MEUSOC from last year is a representation of the version 1 MEUSOC itself. It has no undercut, so that's some differences from the standard Alchemies. No undercut, 3-hole speed trigger, A1 style scallops. It has the flat serrated lanyard loop mainspring housing on here. It has the King's style ambi safety ring hammer. Now we're using a Harrison Design retro square notch rear sight. RTE actually made their own rear sights to replace the woefully inadequate original sights on the A1. Sure. So the rear sight, the front sight, we don't use a millet stake in sight because they were having a lot of problems with them becoming detached over time. So we are using a Novak cut front sight on the V1s and the V2s as well, but they did replace the front sight. They had accurized barrels. The first version had national match hard slides, and so this is kind of our representation of what those natural match hard slides look like. No ejection port flare, which I really like. That's how the version 1s looked. Vertical serrations, ring hammer, which makes you happy. And then they had the actual last 4 digits of the serial number stamped into the slide, into the barrel, the grip safety, and the both sides of the King's ambi thumb safety, which we have reproduced here. And then I know you're not going to like this, but some of my favorite grips are these Pachmayr rubber wraparound grips.
I like Pachmayrs.
I know, but you talk about ivory, you talk about real nice stuff, and I'm like, and I'm here like, I like my $25
Pachmayrs
because I carry.
I mean, they genuinely are nice.
I carry this gun, and I carry an appendix, and having these rubber grips rub against your belly, way nicer than having some really.
You're a little softer than I am.
Okay. I suppose, but yeah. And then on mine, I specifically did paint my front sight yellow or yeller. If you're in
say it's Yalla.
Yalla, if you're in North Carolina. So yeah, it gets a little bit more visibility there. And the V1s were DLC, a hard blast DLC instead of parkerizing them, just because he wanted to park them.
I did want to parkerize them.
Now, so here's the deal. The V1, very cool, sold out very quickly. A lot of people were unhappy that they couldn't get one. So we said, fine, we will move on to the V2, which this is a representation of what would have happened after the pistols rotated back from deployments or rotation, or if it had to be rebuilt. Now, the thing about the MEUSOCs is that they were using either readily available commercial parts or old GI surplus parts, and they would run out of them. So they ran out of hard slides. So by the time the V2s were being built or rebuilt, what they had to do was go to other contract slides that were out there. The first V2s that went out the door had vertical rear serrations, but they were Springfield Armory marked slides without the cross cannons. This isn't a cross cannon. We'll talk about that in a second. And we looked at that and said, okay, that's a little bit too close to the V1.
That's awful close.
That's awful close.
Yeah.
So when we looked at it, we said the later V2s had the forward raked cocking serrations, which is kind of cool because if you look at it, it's almost the exact angle of the forward raked serrations on Alchemies in general. So it's kind of that throwback to when things went from vertical to rake forward in the custom world. So that's the serrations that are on here there. And then the Springfield slides had 2 options. The earlier ones had the cross cannons in the back, just in between the serrations and the ejection port with no flare. Later ones, bordering on V2, V3, there was kind of a transition period where the cross cannons were moved up and the port flare was added. Well, here at Alchemy Custom Weaponry, we like no port flare.
I'm a big fan of no flare.
I'm a big fan of no flare.
I'm a big flare in my personality.
Yes.
But not so much in the port.
Yeah, not so much in the port. So the mid V2s is what this is going to be modeled after. And so it does not have a port flare, and it does have an Alchemy Custom Weaponry strong arm with the establishment date of Alchemy Custom Weaponry on the back of the slide.
Very similar to the cross cannon.
Very, very similar, but we aren't Springfield Armory. So
same.
but different. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then Alchemy Armory on the side. Yes, our name is Alchemy Custom Weaponry, but Alchemy Armory.
So I kind of want to, not to throw you off, but it is funny to me that we're putting Alchemy Armory on these because so many people call us that, and it's not our name.
We're not doing ourselves any favors by doing this. So that
actually does crack me up a little bit.
Alchemy Armory, Alchemy Arms that people call us, and the problem is there was a company back in the 90s named Alchemy Arms that came out with a really stupid,
a really dumb gun.
Really stupid 1911 that takes Glock mags, and they called it the Spectre. So people contact us asking if we can make Spectre parts. And no, this gun was so dumb, guys, that it had a key that you had to insert into the mainspring housing, and you could lock your magazine into your gun. This is 90s.
That's a feature I've always wanted.
This is 90s tech. Like
that's a feature I've always wanted.
That and tritium sights should have stayed in the 90s. Anyway, moving on to the left side of the gun, we do have model 1911 A1.
And the classic Springfield style.
The classic Springfield style and caliber 45.
I really like that, dude. Like I'm not gonna lie, like the first generation MUSOC, you know, hey, whatever, I'm not a millennial, so it didn't really speak to me. And also keep in mind that most of my interest comes from the commercial side of custom 1911s.
Yeah.
Historically. But man, I've always loved the big, because it's like, yeah, of course, it's a 1911 and 45, but it's just a funny thing to me, and I think it actually looks really good on this gun.
It does look really good on this gun.
And I'll tell you, I do want to take I want to give you some props on something, which, Lord, I must be
Hold on, let me record this.
Yeah, I must be getting kind of...
Crispy's recording it.
Right, this is conversation.
We're actually recording a video.
So I will tell y'all, the whole RestoMod series, Nick really bust his ass to make sure that fonts are about as close as they get. Something that actually seems to be a place where other manufacturers really drop the ball. And it's so easy to, say, hey, we're just going to put the words and worry about, font. Like, no one thinks font is important. Font really makes the gun. And so I really have to give it to you, because I'll bring you an idea, of course. And you are definitely a Photoshop wizard, where that's not my thing. And you really do a good job at not only bringing my kind of ideas to life when it's applicable, but also getting the fonts correct. And so that font is perfect.
Well, and the thing is, I don't have a lot of tism, but I have a little bit of autism when it comes to the fonts. This one right here, it is very important. I mean, especially if we're going to change some of the words. I want to find the exact font, so we're not just tracing what it was before. We have the actual font, or we get a font made. By the way, like that's happened.
We've done that. Yes,
we've done that. So this is really cool. One other thing I want to point out on it, didn't talk about on the V1, but it does have a checkered recoil plug.
I'm a big fan of that.
And not a flush cut and crown barrel, because
I'm actually a big fan of that.
I'm a big fan of that too. This is how the gun looks. Now, this is the prototype. So this year, we're doing some things different on our RestoMods. We are actually doing serialization on our RestoMods. So we're making 35 MUSOCs, and they will be serialized MUSOC V2, and then 01 for the first one, all the way up to 35 for the 35th one. This is a standard serial number because this is our
prototype.
It's our prototype. This gun happens to be B-Blast blued. The actual ones are going to be the Hard Blast DLC for the hard use, just like this, my V1 here. We didn't have time to get it DLC'd in order to make this video and be testing it, so at some point we might go blast it, or just let it get beat to hell, this prototype here, and keep going. Now, this prototype, it's barreled. Sweet. Yeah.
Well.
Oh yeah, thumb safety. Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, that's what I like. This gun's barreled pretty close to. Yeah, it's got a good little pop at the beginning.
Well, you've shot that.
I've shot the hell out of this gun. I carry this gun. But this is like.
So like again, not my thing, but this particular gun, the more I've handled it, just being in Texas this week, I've been thinking, what if what if I
did become a MEUSOC
What if I did take this home? And also, I kind of want, because I actually, funny enough, y'all, I did not realize this was Bead Blast. And that's another thing. You know, everybody's like, how's Bead Blast look versus, DLC?
You can't, he knows that, that there's a difference. He didn't know until I just said that this was blue.
I just noticed the barrel hood was,
the barrel's wearing a little more.
Which, of course, doesn't happen on the DLC.
The DLC, not so much.
You know what I kind of want to do is I want to get this and carry it, right? Mm-hmm. I kind of want to parkerize it. I kind of want to parkerize it. I think
parkerize the prototype?
I think it'd be cool. But anyways...
one other thing, y'all. The prototype here has not had its front sight painted, but your MEUSOC will have your front sight pre-painted. Is it going to be painted perfectly? No.
Really?
Yeah.
Are we doing that?
Oh, we're doing it. Yeah, the sights are already painted.
What color?
It's going to be a surprise.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's a surprise because I can't remember.
Actually,
I'm just kidding. It's orange.
It's probably going to be orange.
It's
yellow,
orange, yeah.
Something like that.
I like the yellow, but we have orange that we used on the Combat Limited carry that looked so good. So we wanted to duplicate that.
Sure.
Because it's a real nice color.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, y'all, we appreciate you letting us ramble here because that's sometimes what we do. Of course, the website's going to be the place where you're going to get most of the best information.
Yes.
We usually take actually quite a bit of time to build out almost I'm going to be honest with you, almost a story, an article. Like when you see, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to say something. You may hurt some gun writers' feelings. Ain't no gun writer going to do a better write-up than I am on our guns on the website. So take some time, read through that. You'll learn a little bit. Hopefully you learn a little bit. And also just understand, like, this is just, what you're seeing here is a 1911 company ran by enthusiasts that somebody has just said, yeah, you know what? Just y'all make some stuff that's cool. And
make some stuff. If people want to buy it, then you get to keep your job.
Yeah, well, yeah, so please buy this. But anyways, no, the cool thing is, though, there are so many people who wanted this gun, and it really is like it is one of the best resto mods in the fact of, yes, you get that nostalgia. Yep. Yes, you get that history. It's built like a semi-custom Alchemy should be.
Yep.
But also, even if you're not like, hey, I'm the biggest MEUSOC fan, this is a freaking-tastic, just everyday gun.
This is what I carry this gun.
In fact, actually, a little story for y'all, because we're past this, so we can talk about stories. So, Nick, we went up to Griffin Howe last year, about in like the late fall.
Yep.
And Nick brought his compact in 9mm that he carries. That I'm like, 9mm. But anyways, he carries a 9mm, which is ridiculous. So when Nick was getting ready to pack up, I took his 9mm compact magazines, knowing that Nick probably would not go on his own reconnaissance to get more. He did not.
Well, because they're not cheap.
He was like, well, hey, can you send them back? Oh, yeah, I'm busy. I'll get to it this week. Oh, nope, sorry, I'll get to it next week. Oh, man, the phones are blowing up. Finally, it got to the point where he was just having to carry his 45, and then by the time I actually did send the 9mm compact mags, how many times you carried that gun since?
I haven't shot a 9mm since. I haven't shot 9mm since last November at Griffin and Howe, and I only carry 45 single stack. Like my hard chrome double stack, my Quantico high caps up there. They're. I carry
it's called the return to tradition. So anyways, just understand that if you have a friend who is unfortunately shooting a 9mm and carrying a 9mm, you can bully them or just straight up steal their magazines so that they end up having to carry a 45. But anyways, yes, it is a great everyday carry gun. Of course, being in DLC, if this one isn't, but it will be in DLC. So that's a fantastic finish for everyday carry. And more importantly, it's kind of an understated gun. I think sometimes people get really pretty, we'll say pretty guns, and then they feel bad about carrying, but this is an understated gun that looks like it's meant to freaking go to work.
It's a gunfighter's gun.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I would agree with that.
I do have my grip safety rubber band. Now, have I ever had a problem activating a grip safety on a single stack or double stack? No.
Hey,
but I don't think I don't think grip safety is really.
You know how the term is, kill the lawyers.
Yeah.
Like that's the term they always say.
Well, they watch these videos, so we gotta be careful.
I'm not going to say that. My term is pin all the safeties.
Pin all the safeties, even though we won't pin your safety.
Yeah, sorry guys. I
Sorry,
can't.
the lawyers.
The lawyers.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Rubber bands are cheap.
Yeah, so listen, y'all. Thanks so much for joining us today. If you've waited this long to go to the website, odds are not in your favor, my friend. So hopefully there's one laying around, but
what
guess
does she do? Odds are not in your favor? I don't know. What's the little cat?
What are you doing, like Dale Earnhardt over there?
I don't know. So the odds are in your favor. I'm thinking it's like a Hunger Games reference.
All right, well, we can eat in a little bit. You don't have to be hungry.
All right.
Did you say catnip?
Catnip evergreen.
Anyways, it's millennials, man. All right. Thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you next time.